Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week.
It is time for Top Censored News of the Week, bringing you the stories the mainstream media refuses to cover. But if they do cover them, they always do it in a very sloppy or dishonest way, and it's always on purpose. Okay, let's get into the number 3 story for this week. Coming in at number 3, Big Soda pays off right-wing influencers to push pro-sugar propaganda campaign on MAGA. Well, let's look at this. What happened? Let's see. We had some right-wing influencers post some garbage like this, and this was a targeting to the MAGA base. Let's see what they came up with. Here's one of them. It's from Eric Daughtry. Okay, important. We cannot allow Make America Healthy Again messaging to be used to force needy Americans into not buying certain things. Some officials in DC are working on trying to prevent Americans on SNAP from using those benefits to purchase any soda. Remember when New York City Democrats tried to prevent people from buying and consuming soda? It backfired big time. President Trump literally has a Diet Coke button on his Oval Office. Let people think and decide for themselves. Anyone can consume soda and be perfectly fine in moderation, unless we are just going to ban every food with sugar in it for SNAP Americans. So I guess if you're a follower of Eric Daughtry, you might just assume that he came up with that on his own. It just seems like something that, an honest take. Well, no, not really. Not really at all. Not an honest take at all. You know how we know it's not an honest take? Well, look at this. He deleted the post, and he was called out here. When did you become a paid shill for Big Soda? Now, that's just an accusation. Do we have proof of that? Well, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to the proof. Were you compensated for this post in any way? I've never seen you post opinions like this before. So that came out of nowhere. And this is just guys, this is just one example. Several of these guys did this. Several of these influencers, right-wing influencers, MAGA influencers did this. I've never seen you post opinions like that. And all of a sudden, you're so passionate about beverage choice for people on Snap. I smell a rat. Well, Brick Suit, you were correct to smell a rat. And here's how we know it was a rat, because of this. Yes, that was dumb of me. Massive egg on my face. In all seriousness, it won't happen again. So he came back, and I guess this is kind of an apology, saying I made it up, kind of qualifying all those suspicions. Well, let's go further. Let's look at what MJ Truth Ultra had to say. All those big conservative influencers who were throwing a hissy fit against soda from being removed from SNAP benefits were busted, taking money for their posts. They even went as far as to shame Donald Trump for having a Diet Coke button. And they all did it, by the way. They all did the same talking points. Some are even apologizing now, saying it won't happen, as you just saw the apology from Eric Daughtry. Okay. How much integrity do you have to say something that you don't believe in? That seems to be a running theme here. And this just doesn't happen on the right. This happens on the left. This happens all the time. What price is on your, what price? What is the price for you to lie to people for that paycheck? What is it? Maybe we should all ask ourselves, look in the mirror and say, how much to buy you? How much? And so would we even ever trust someone like this ever again? And you're telling people to do something that's harmful. And you know it's harmful, and you take the money and you do it anyway. How interesting. That's so interesting. And so let's look at the type of language that was given to them in order to get their big ass paycheck, which did happen. Here's some of it. Okay, so you submit. This is the bullet points. So a couple of them. We're not going to go through all this, but hey, this was sent out. It's called InfluenceAble. InfluenceAble. That's the company name. So think about this. Influenceable. So they're saying we're going to target people with low moral standard, low compass of personal dignity. We know we can buy them off. So we're going to actually name the company that, if you're being targeted with these bullet points, we know you're going to take the check because you are influenceable. Okay, so here's all the things you got to do. A couple of things. Again, got to go through the communications must go through them. So they have to approve everything. So everything's you have to follow these instructions in order to get your paycheck. Let's look even closer. Look at this one. This is awesome. So all the stuff you saw in the post, the government overreach, personal choice, and freedom, these are the key messaging points and the objective. And look at this one. This is hilarious. If you look at the fourth on the key messaging point, Trump's preference for Diet Coke. So pointing these things out are key to get the messaging across. Now, why would Big Food do this? Because they have to sell their product, and they know that the poor communities that have SNAP, they are the ones who are most likely to be buying soda and making them their $1 billion. So you don't want to cut that off. So the way you do it is you buy off these influencers. So guys, we've seen this 1,000 times. So we know this game plan. We know how it works. Okay. So let's get into the next one. Coming in at number 2 of top censored news of the week. Let me grab this here. Here we go. Coming in at number 2. 23andMe files for bankruptcy. Our human genetic info can now be sold in bankruptcy proceedings. Oh, interesting. That's pretty wild. Okay, well, let's see what happened. Oh, the Wall Street Journal put this out. Okay, 23andMe is bankrupt. Here's what you need to know about your genetic data. The genetic testing company holds biological information on millions of people. And it's saying, let's read more of the Wall Street Journal and find out what we need to know. Actually, scratch that. I don't want to read Wall Street Journal. I'd rather hear James Lee's take on this, because these guys are going to deflect and not be honest, and we already know that. So James Lee says Wall Street Journal is reporting about the bankruptcy, and its virtually unprecedented repository of human genetic information could be sold in bankruptcy proceedings. So I would go and delete your DNA right now. The data that's on there right now, if you did this, you better go on there and get that data deleted right now, unless you want to see clones of yourself. Okay, well, let's actually hear his breakdown. This is from James Lee, and guys, this is not a joke. You better go do this. Here's a little breakdown from James.
If you've ever given your DNA to 23andMe, you should probably go and delete that right now. This morning, it was announced that 23andMe filed for bankruptcy and that its CEO, Ann Wojcicki, was resigning. 23andMe is, of course, the DNA testing company. They said that this morning, 23andMe shares dropped more than 50% in early trading after the company filed for bankruptcy late Sunday, blah, 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 shareholder value, whatever. Here is what's actually alarming. Quote, 23andMe's global database has grown into a virtually unprecedented repository of human genetic information that can now be sold in bankruptcy proceedings. That's right. The privacy statement of 23andMe says that, quote, if they are involved in a bankruptcy, merger, acquisition, reorganization, or sale of assets, your personal information may be accessed, sold, or transferred as part of that transaction. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the DNA that you've given them could be scooped up by whoever and used in all sorts of crazy ways. Things like maybe cloning you without your permission. Your DNA could be sold to malicious actors who could then use that DNA and leave it at crime scenes that you were never at. Of course, bioweapons is always a possibility. I mean, okay, those are admittedly kind of crazy examples. Maybe they won't happen. But then there are those mundane use cases that probably will happen. One of which is insurance companies using that DNA data to deny you coverage, which is something they definitely love to do. So if you don't want that, here are the instructions on how you can delete your data from 23andMe. Pause to read.
Great work on that, James Lee. And I will tell you guys, if you happen to do this thing, you better go and delete that data now. We knew better. We knew not to do that when it came out. It was something that I just knew it was a red flag up front. Well, here you go. This is where you have a chance to get out now. Hopefully that hasn't happened yet and they haven't sold it and it hasn't gotten out of hand. So just go follow the instructions, go there, get your data off. Okay, we're going to get to the number 1 story of the week. And I want to do this. Because it's been a little while, I'm going to bring in our co-host right now to help me with the number 1 story of top censored news of the week. Please welcome back to the show, Craig Pasta Jardula. There we go.
Saying, by the way, just so you know out there, Ann Wojcicki, right, is the sister to Susan Wojcicki, the late Susan Wojcicki, who also happened to be the CEO of YouTube, who is behind the censorship of all the people like us on YouTube for years. I mean, it wasn't Susan Wojcicki who got you. She got the Convo Couch, but it's that same club. Isn't it crazy that it's the same club and you ain't it? And by the way, I also want to say that I was dumb to join Ancestry.com because I wanted to find family members.
Oh, you did.
I did before I got in the know. So I wasn't as smart as you, like my friend, but yeah, just wanted to point those things out. And thanks for having me back on the show. Excited to be here. I've been under the weather, but it's always fun to come back. And what a great, exciting, fun show today. And had I know you were wearing the purple, I would have mimicked you, buddy. You got to let me know next time. If we're going Grimace, let me know.
No, man, it's okay. We don't want to. I was on with Fee on Monday, and we didn't check in, and I think we each went with the white. And I don't know. I don't think coordinating it kind of makes you feel a little off. Like I like it when we kind of surprise each other with different things. That's just me.
But you're wearing the purple shirt, and I'm wearing my Tony Soprano shirt over here, so it's
good. It's good. I think it's good. Good. It's a good blend. It's a good blend. Good balance. I think we're good. Good to have you back, buddy. We're excited about today's show, and you're just in time now because we're about to do the number one story of Top Censored News, and I'm glad you're in for this one, Craig, because I want your take on this because there's a couple things going on with this, and that's why this becomes the number one story of Top Censored News of the week. Here we go. Former U.S. Attorney Jessica DeAber, 43, found dead over the weekend under mysterious circumstances. Now, the reason why we're putting this up, and we're gonna do a we know what it's not later in the show, and you guys know we always look into the stuff and we always go, what are they not telling us? This one stuck out this week because there's two things that are off on this, seemingly completely separate. So I'm gonna start with the first one, but yeah, this is wild, man. This is wild. Here we go. This is the first take on this mysterious death. So we have the breaking Jessica DeAber, a Biden attorney, has been found dead. That was March 22nd. Now we have Adam's take. Now we know he's been 100% on point with covering the genocide, covering, the military industrial complex, all of our, shenanigans in the rest of the world, all that stuff. So he's been great on that. We don't really hear anything else from him about other things that are important to us, like challenging big pharma and all that stuff. So we have two different battles we're having. So Adam's take is, did Israel assassinate another inconvenient U.S. politician? U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Jessica DeAber, was found dead in her bed yesterday. She spent years exposing an Israeli plot to illegally bring Israelis into the U.S. with fraudulent visas. And that case was legit. We looked that up and saw that she prosecuted this case and was successful. And there was actually justice that occurred. So as we know, when you bring down big guns in any arena, there might be pushback. That's the thing. If you're getting justice, there might be pushback to you. You have to kind of watch your back. And this is her own post before she died. After we extradited this defendant from Israel, he pleaded guilty to recruiting and facilitating the illegal entry of Israel citizens into the U.S. with fraudulent tourist visitor visas. This investigation reflected years of hard work. And she gave out some shout outs. Now, it's important to note she's no longer with, she's not the U.S. attorney anymore. She's not there. So the question would be, well, why would they come after her now? And that remains to be known at this point. But now there's another part to this. So let me bring this part up, and then I want to get your thoughts on this, Craig. Which one should we be more concerned about? Here's the second part of the story. Former U.S. Attorney Jessica DeAber had medical issue prior to unexpected death. So they're saying that there was this unexpected. This is, again, it fits right into the line with all of a sudden you have a medical problem and you wake up dead. Sorry for the oxymoron there. No, waking up dead. We see it a lot these days. Craig, have you had a chance to look at either of these, or what is your initial instinct or impulse when you see this story being reported? Where does your red flag go to?
Well, I mean, it's kind of buzzing all over the place, right? Initially, my impulse is to think it's something COVID related, jab related. And, that's where my mind goes first, because we know what it's not. And, obviously in the segment we're doing today, being sports fans, and we'll talk about Damian Lillard later in the show and all that stuff. So, but you immediately start thinking about that, right? That's the first thing that comes to mind. But there's also the mindset of, was this another person who kind of stepped out of line? I don't hate all people who join the police force at all, right? Like, everybody has this kind of mentality, especially coming from the left, that all cops are bad, whatnot, that they're working for this one kind of entity. A lot of people, there's reasons why they become cops, and some people do become cops, whether they're blinded or not, or prosecutors are working for intelligence agencies because they believe they're doing something for the greater good. They actually believe they're working on the benefit of keeping out bad people for the behest of the good people, whatnot. So there's a sense of coming from me too as well, is if this woman has kind of done something where she stepped out of line, and somebody said, you can't do that, you got to go. So I mean, there's a lot of fishiness over here. And then the third part, what if it was just, a situation where it was, unfortunately, she was sick, something happened and she went away, right? She passed away. So really, to tell you the truth, my spidey senses are all over the place. I think that as more information comes out, we'll get more of an opinion about a better, clearer opinion from, for ourselves once we find out more information. So right now, it might, I don't know what to think exactly, right? It could be anything at this point, but it is definitely kind of head scratching.
Yeah. And when a story like this breaks and we see the different communities that you and I have been having these discussions over the last several years on both of these topics, and to see them kind of, get loud about it, and rightfully so, it's about asking questions. This is what we tell our viewers. This is what it's about. It's not, we haven't conducted an investigation. There's no way we can know this stuff, but it's about our spidey senses, like you said, Craig. And it's like, this is the stuff we have to re-educate ourselves. If you guys have lost that ability over, for whatever reason, you were conditioned to not use those senses anymore and just wait to do what you're told. And just, these things break quickly. There's no way we can know. Name the issue. It doesn't have to be, a military operation where we're murdering journalists and murdering children in other places. It doesn't have to be even big pharma related. I mean, just look at the LA fires or the Maui fires. We've covered those. When something happens, when a story breaks, we should be conditioning ourselves to ask those questions right away, and don't fall for the whole let's wait and see. We're done with the let's wait and see. Now is the time. This whole too soon. Let me give you guys a spoiler alert on the too soon mantra. When you say too soon, it's never going to be okay to talk about it. Is it still too soon about 9/11? Is it still too soon? So that it's never too soon. Too early to start discussing these things. So this is why we put this at number one. We want to have these discussions and know that maybe, obviously one of them might check out, the others won't, but it's okay to ask. That's what it's about.
So just unpacking the theory too as well. All right, let's leave the medical unfortunate whatever you want to, the medical unfortunateness, whatever you want to call it, that it could possibly be. Let's say it's something nefarious where it was a kind of like gangster mafia style whack. I know a lot of people are saying maybe the IDF did this, whatever the case may be. Let me just point this out. That's something people have to grasp, right? And Fiorella has said this before. It's not all roses over there, right? When she's talking about over in Russia and she's talking about all these places. Even when it comes to China, a lot of people have this mentality, Matt, that China is controlled directly from the top and everybody falls in line. Russia controlled directly from the top and everything. No, it's the wild, wild west everywhere, including the United States. There are individual actors doing things that the government doesn't know about, going behind people's backs. It's the wild west across the board. So, I mean, there are so many possibilities in which this situation could have taken place. You know what I'm saying? In the ways this woman could have been could have been killed, could have been murdered, could have died. I mean, it's endless possibilities right now. And we're just going to have to, wait and see and get more information to form a different opinion. But I think that you've hit it on the nose, that we shouldn't wait and see. It's too soon is no longer an excuse to not talk about these things. We got to put everything on the table and then make it a clear assessment once we've laid everything out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. And I think that brings us to the close of what we're calling Top Censored News of the week.
Fortunately, we're here to bring you top censored news of the week.